to the second class on Bhagavad Gita, and we shall continue our exploration of the chapter 1. We acknowledge that the teachings that Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna was not just a conversation between one wonderful guru and one deserving shishya, but that guru was Jagat Guru. Jagat is the name of the universe, the manifest universe. And that Krishna is not an ordinary soul, but Paramatma, the super soul, Brahman, incarnate in the body of Krishna, and has given us a knowledge that becomes a raft for us in this difficult existence. If any of you are thinking, what are you saying, Shunyaji, difficult existence? This is fun. Then maybe you should come back to my class in some other lifetime. It's a very realistic understanding that, but for some punctuated pleasures, the human existence is very, very painful. Animals and plants are also dealing with seasons, afflictions, difficulties, but in a way they are conditioned enough by Maya, by the spell of enchantment, that they do not have this kind of self-awareness, such as who am I, why am I trapped, why am I obliged to go through this sukha dukkha, why am I having to fight battles that are not worthy. So they experience physical discomfort, some mental, but they do not get tortured by emotional discomfort. And we humans get tortured emotionally, and we torture each other emotionally. And in fact, we get swallowed up in the ocean of unexamined, perpetual, ongoing waves of emotions. In fact, so much so that this world of emotional discomfort is called samsara, which means it's our world. Each one of us, there is an objective jagat, which we all share. It has a certain temperature. If you live in a certain part of the jagat, even though that fluctuates every half mile or so, everything changes in the jagat. But it has a neutral, when the weather is changing, it's not evil, it's just what it is. It's laws of Ishvara. But each one of us has a private samsara that suffers tremendously, and we drown in it. And even if we rearrange things in that samsara, it takes all our life to do it. It's never enough. Hence, to relieve us of our own samsara and become a boat for us so that we don't drown in that samsara, Lord gave this teaching. We consider him the guru of this entire universe, and we are every parampara, all kinds of paramparas, bhakti parampara, jnana parampara, yoga parampara, even management parampara, business school parampara, grahastha parampara. Everybody goes through this one common Jagat Guru, Lord Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita has something to give everyone. So where we had left off was that the two armies were juxtaposed, and we've gone through the dialogue of Duryodhana, the evil-minded, greedy prince who had been following adharmic means to win property, to not give his cousins, the Pandavas, their fair share. And so we went through his conversation of how rudely, because of his own nervousness, he talked to his own guru, Dronacharya. And then ultimately, we then come to how um, that side, the Kaurava side, blew their conches and became ready for war. And then we are introduced to this beautiful chariot in which our hero Arjuna is coming towards the battle, and who else is his charioteer but Lord Krishna himself, who he at that time has deep respect for and is a mentor of Arjuna. And we are introduced to the beautiful white chariot, divine chariot, and they also blow their respective conches, and we go one by one with how Vyasacharya introduces the five brothers and some important team members of the Pandu army, so that war is just, the conches have blown, um, the, the arrows are, strategically ready to be shot. And it's a very tense atmosphere, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers on either side are ready, horses, soldiers, chariots, and all just bristling with aggression. And at that time in shloka 20, Sanjaya is continuing to tell the blind king Dhritarashtra what is going on through his divine vision. And he says, Atha vyavastitan drishtva dhartarashtran kapi dvajaha pravitte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha rishikesham tada vakyam idamaha mahipate arjunovacha senayorubayor madhye ratham sthapya mechyuta yavadeta niriksheham yodhukamanavasthitan kairmaya sa yodhavyam asmin ranasamutyame yotsemananaveksheham yaetetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddhe priyachikeshavaha. Okay, so in 120, basically, um, Sanjaya is reporting to Dhritarashtra, the blind king, that, O king, seeing how the army of the Kauravas was arrayed and ready with their bows and arrows and their different, instruments to go to battle, Arjuna, who was himself placed in a chariot with a flag of Kapi. Kapi means monkey or Hanumana, Dhwaja. There was a flag. They say that Hanumana was on the flag of that chariot in which Arjuna was there and Krishna was driving. So he looked around, he surveyed, and then he says to Rishikesha, to Krishna, Lord Krishna, another name which I've explained to you what it means, the one who is the God of the senses, Atman, Paramatman. And he says to him this Vakyam, that please take this chariot into the middle of, take me there where I can see both the armies. Senayor Rubhayor Madhye. Madhye means in the middle, and in this time, even though he's asking for a movement, he is calling Krishna Achyuta, and Achyuta means one who does not move, which means one who is a witness, one who does not need to move here and there, but he is eternally steadfast in his convictions, in his knowledge, and in his jnanam. And he says, so it's very interesting how Vyasacharya puts different names for Lord Krishna in Arjuna's mouth, through Arjuna's speech. And there are different names for Arjuna when Lord Krishna addresses him. And this gives us the state of mind of the different, what's going on. So when he calls Krishna Achyuta, it means that actually he was experiencing some anxiety. So when we experience anxiety, we go up to our teacher and say, "You're never anxious, so can you tell me what to do?" So why is he saying, "Can you take me in the middle of the army to survey what? Again." This is what the common person, you and I, do. We take a decision. 13 years he's angry. He has tried all types of strategies to resolve things. Finally, he has come to the conclusion that there is no other way but to go to war. He knows who is the other army. He knows who is in his place, but he's again saying, um, "You are Achyuta. You don't get moved. I need to go in the middle. I need to go and survey again." In 22, Yavadeta niriksheham. Nirikshe means I want to examine. I want to examine. Yodhu kaman avasthitan. Who are those people who are eager for war? And kair mahsa yuddhavyam, who want to go to war against me. See, sometimes we all know that Duryodhana, his evil cousin, what all he had done. He had unfairly taken over the kingdom, banished the five princes to the forest. When they had come back, he had refused to give them anything. They had asked, okay, we'll just create a separate kingdom. But he gave it, but then won it back, through a unfair game. He tried to burn all of them and their mother Kunti in a house made of inflammable, special house that he had constructed with inflammable items. He had insulted their wife Draupadi in public. So, and everything he had done, like a felon, he had behaved. And, we know that we want to go to war with this person. This person deserves our anger, deserves our action. What we are more shocked at, and this might have happened to you also in life, is we are not only angry or upset with the person who is evil like in our life, we can't believe the people who support them. We can't believe it. I have recently come across, very unfortunately, the story of certain, I call them the rock star gurus, in India, who have, a following of millions. And they have now, the gurus are now, in jail or, going through some difficult time because it was exposed that they were not appropriate to be gurus. They were probably not even appropriate to be sadasyas. And when I look at them, or when many people look at them now, they go, wow, there were all these red flags around this person. But still we see that millions follow them blindly. So in a way, Arjuna is like, who are these people? Because you see, Duryodhana was in power. He was a coercive person. He had so many people, as you know, in this world, they follow the one who is in power. They don't support the one who is right. Would you agree? So therefore, a lot more people were supporting Duryodhana. And Arjuna had much less human support, royal support, equipment support, financial support. And he was such a simpleton that even when Krishna had said, Lord Krishna, that you can have me or my army, he had chosen Lord Krishna. So another word for Arjuna, another meaning of Arjuna is the straightforward one. He was a straightforward person and he was emotional also. And he chose Arjuna, which in the long run we understand was wise. But you can imagine how embellished was Duryodhana. because he had Lord Krishna's army also. He had many, many kingdoms supporting him. So in a way, at that last minute, instead of firing his arrow, he says, I want to do nirikshan. But this also shows how we human beings, by the way, we who lack conviction within us constantly examine the scene, constantly revisit the scene, because it shows that uh, he was not stable or sthira in his clarity within him. And then in verse 23, he says that he uses a very interesting word. He says, wow, look at all these people collected here to support, and he, durubuddhe, buddhi means intellect, durubuddhi means foul intellect, evil intellect. So evil intellect, evil buddhi, evil thinking cousin. I can't believe that these people are supporting my evil thinking cousin. So he uses this word, Durabuddhe Priya Chikirshavaha. Priya means they are, it's like they are there out of their own pleasure that they are supporting this disturbed one. Now, there are, according to Shastra, there are 4 ways to tackle people who are hurting us, who are abusing us, who are violating dharma. They do not have code of conduct. They do not behave appropriately, and so they do this. And what are those 4 methods? I want to now just take a brief pause and explain to you, because you might have also wondered that why is it so important that Arjuna go to war? And these 4 methods are called, and you can write them down. They are called Sama, S-A-M-A. The next one is called, it's often called Dama, Sama, Dama, Danda, Bhed. But the proper word is Dana, D-A-A-N-A, Dana. Sama, Dana. The third one is called, it's not Danda, but Bheda, B-H-E-D-A, Bheda. And the 4th one is called Danda, D-A-N-D-A, Danda. Okay, so it goes Sama, Dana, Bheda, Danda. This is the proper method. And this has been described by another Rishi called Rishi Charnakya. And this is a very useful thing, and we can understand that why Arjuna's blood is boiling. His blood is boiling because he's like so upset with the Kauravas who had done injustice to him. And he's also now further upset because he wants to go there and he can't believe the people who are arrayed there, lined up. He kind of knew that he knew all along who are the people who are supporting his cousin versus him, but just to see them kind of, it's like a visual. When you see them, you're like further angry. So you can see that he's not wanting to kill them. He's actually really upset. And the reason for that is that according to Shastra, there are 4 methods of dealing with things when things are not working out amongst human beings. The first one is called Sama. And so whenever there is some conflict, Shastra says, first and foremost, try to settle it down, try to talk, try to converse, try to have a conversation so that, there can be some proper resolution. And probably some also means try to see if you can create a win-win scenarios. And they did do that. Arjuna's brothers, the Pandavas, they said, all right, if you don't want, actually the whole kingdom of Hastinapur belonged to them, but they said, that's all right. we can win-win could be that we could do half and half, and that would be fine. We can work with that. And so there was this, this ambassadorship that the Pandus did, Arjuna and his brothers did. They tried to create an energy of, we can work this out. Let's sit down and talk about it. And actually, that should be our first approach. Our first approach should not be the others that I talk about. The next approach should be that if you still find that the other person, out of ignorance, due to your own karma, where difficulty has come your way, etc., that person is still obstinate. Another potential opportunity where you become bigger and you still want more harmony, and so the person who's more awake, who's thinking about Shastra, can say, okay, dana. Dana means I shall donate, I shall gift. Dana means to give. You come from a bigger place and you gift. And that is also what the Arjuna and his brothers did, the Pandus. They said, okay, if you don't want half and half, why don't you just give us 5 villages? And you can keep all of it. So it was like a gift. Keep it. We are brothers. We are not very ambitious. We are not very needy. We just want peace. You keep all of this. It's all right. Have you done that in your life? I have done it many times. Sometimes it's okay. You can take the credit. You can run with it. For me, this piece has been done. That is enough. Why? Because I am bigger. Not because I'm a coward. I am bigger. And I see that there are some very disturbed people. And if I give a gift of something, it's not manipulation. It's really a gift from a bigger minded person to a smaller minded person for shanti, for the sake of ahimsa, for the sake of probably completing some karmic debt also. Here, you take it. I've done this. Why even something, there are people who I know who are small-minded towards me, and I can recognize them. They are jealous, they are angry, they are small-minded, and they not just towards me. That's where they are. That's their consciousness. So when I meet that person, I practice generosity. There'll be people who will find it very difficult to offer me a compliment. It's a small example. And I'll be able to offer 5 compliments because I am that. I can give a gift. So you can give a gift. And that is what Arjuna did. Also, Arjuna and his brothers, they said, here, keep 5 villages. Even then, Duryodhana and his brothers were not okay with it. Okay, to this extent, they even said, okay, give us 5 houses. That was not enough. So sometimes, even when we give a gift, even when we are being generous, even when we are willing to overlook the disparity, it's still not enough. Then Shastra says we can go for what is called Bheda. Bheda means division. So it's like separate out. Separate. So sometimes it happens. Sometimes a husband and a wife are conflicting, or a partners are conflicting. It's a look. Stop the conflict. You please go into your own house. You go into your own house. That is better for us. Just live like strangers, but live peacefully on this universe. It is best to divide up. Similarly, I can say to, 2 conflicting people that, look, it is better that you both don't engage, or you don't engage with me. We are separate. So it's like a agreement. It's a mindful division. A mindful separation is called Bheda. That also helps. And in a way, by saying, give us 5 houses, that was a kind of a separation, but they were not willing to do that. Finally, and they continued to, through all of this process, they tried to kill them, they tried to kill their mother, they tried to kidnap Krishna, Lord Krishna himself, they tried to, hurt him. They were just continuing to be like felons. And so ultimately, they must be punished. they must be punished. Because if these so-called claims to the throne, or whoever they are, these Kauravas, if this is the way they behave with their own cousins, if this is the way they behave with their sister-in-law Draupadi, by making her unsafe in public, what are they going to do with the general citizens of the empire? So then such people must be punished. And my father shed light on this very beautifully. This is his teaching, and he says that there are two words for killing in Sanskrit. One word is hatya, and the other word is vad. And the word hatya, you kill somebody for your personal motive. And that leads to papam, sin, and it's adharma. But vad, where you're not killing now for yourself, now you're killing for this universe. So when Lord Rama, did not do hatya of Ravana, the evil king, he did vad. Similarly, when Duryodhana is ultimately killed, it is not murder by Arjuna. It is the ultimate act of dharma by, I don't know the Sanskrit translation for the word vad, but I would say it is the dharmic end, dharmic punishment. And it's his path to moksha that he achieves. So therefore, these things were contemplated in the Shastra. It's amazing that the Veda is the giver, the teacher of ahimsa, but it never said, it said ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa is a very important dharma, but he says, but himsa is allowed for the protection of dharma. So these were really adharmic people, and he needed to do vad of all of them, all 100 of them, and he must move forward. And so he was righteously angry, and that is why Lord himself was with him, and they were moving forward. I want to give you an example, and I'm taking a digression, but this is very important what I'm teaching you, because it's going to come full circle as I continue teaching you. That the last Hindu king, before the Islamic Sultanate took over, the last Hindu king, his name was Prithvi Raj Chauhan. And he was full of this incomplete knowledge, probably had not studied the Bhagavad Gita. So he only was behaving he was influenced by, the excessive ideal, and any ideal, misplaced ideal becomes adharma. So he had the misplaced ideal of ahimsa. So it's like you have appendix pain and you go to your surgeon and you say, please remove this appendix. And the surgeon says, sorry, I believe in ahimsa. I cannot possibly cut out the poor appendix that God has placed with such effort in your body. There is great intelligence and Atman and Brahman circulating through that swollen appendix. I cannot cut it. Sorry. Then this is a misplaced compassion, misplaced ideal of ahimsa. So what Bhagavad Gita is saying, ideals are what we live for. But prior to application of the ideal, you should have discernment or viveka as to when what is applied. And this excessive focus upon being peaceful and nice and good, was not the Vedic way. The Vedic way wants us to be discerning and upholding ideals and upholding a balance in the society, because everybody cannot be Lord Buddha and sit under a tree and find their peace, because not everybody can just leave their, wife and children and achieve their personal liberation. It can work for one, it can work for 100, it can work for 1/10 of humanity, but it cannot be the answer for all humanity, because that means all the men have to leave the woman, wear a robe, sit under a tree and find their personal bliss. That is not wrong, but it may be an El Dorado version of a spirituality that India was not ready for. So India was highly influenced by the time the Islamic invasions began with these excessively pacifist, falsely compassionate ideals. So when Muhammad Ghori, who was a Turk, he invaded India. He was captured, defeated, captured, and imprisoned by the Hindu king, and then forgiven. That Muhammad Ghori said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this. I'm having remorse." And Prithviraj Chauhan said, "Okay, don't do it again. Please go back." And he released him, and there was this pleasant exchange of heartfelt love and ideals, and Muhammad Ghori went back. Now, do you know that Muhammad Ghori then turned around and attacked again? And the army was approaching, and the diplomats of the Hindu king came running to him and said, "You know that man that you had released, he has come back again. He's attacking us again." So Prithviraj Chauhan wrote him a letter and said, "He's approaching my city. Tell him he's approaching India. Tell him." And he wrote, "Look, I had captured you, I had defeated you, and I am inspired by dharma," false dharma by the way, brackets, false dharma, "to release you. And please watch out that if you move any further," because they were some 10-15 miles away, "I shall kill you." Okay. So Prithviraj Chauhan received the letter and wrote a very polite letter and said, "You are right, you have reminded me that you are very kind to me. So I will now let us cease fire. I will now tell my army to return." And he was in the letter, he was deeply inspired by Prithviraj's warning. "I warn you, don't come further." Well, that night there was ceasefire, and the Hindu soldiers under Prithviraj Chauhan, they celebrated. The historians, Islamic historians have written, they had a night of revelry and joy and upholding of dharma, and they were all drunk and they were asleep. And at 4 a.m. in the morning, Muhammad Ghori's army attacked again. And this time, they killed Prithviraj Chauhan. And that was a very difficult and disturbing night for Hindustan, for India of the Hindus, because of the Vedic people, because that was the beginning of their slavery. From 1192 until 1857, look at this long period. One Islamic invader or king after the another took over. And after 1857, Britishers took over. Only until 70 years ago, India was enslaved. Why? Because of the false ideal of ahimsa and not understanding who should be forgiven and who should be punished. When is sam appropriate? When is dan appropriate? When is bhed appropriate? And when is dand appropriate? This we must also remember. And therefore, in a way, in Bhagavad Gita, it begins with, you are reading Bhagavad Gita, but in Mahabharata, the context is there that all these sama, dana, bheda, methods or niti or policy was followed appropriately by Arjuna and his brothers on the teaching of Krishna, who was Krishna at that time, not Bhagwan at that time. So dharma was being kept. But now the Lord says, enough is enough, Arjuna, go to war, and why not? I am going to drive you. And he was very fortunate to have a charioteer as in Lord Krishna, because, Lord Krishna was an amazing charioteer. It's like if God is driving our chariot, we shall be protected. One time, Duryodhana, shot an arrow, and Lord Krishna kind of took the chariot down so that the arrow did not go into Arjuna's heart. So there were so many grace moments and protections that we will see that happened in the war because he is a charioteer. So it's a symbolic that we want to do the right action. So it may be that you in your life have to punish someone, and you might not have to shoot an arrow, and nor should you shoot a gun, but you have to punish someone. And once you have discerned that that person is, by punishing this person or this group of people or this XYZ, we are protecting dharma, then you should strongly do it. And before I move on to the text, I give you another example. Recently, it's too painful an example to give you because it is a comment on somebody else. So I will not. Don't worry about it. It's not personal. It's in current news. But the point is that there are people who are so muddled up that instead of punishing those people, they want to forgive those people. So if I'm coming across confused, it's because my discernment decided to move on and not share with you. Now, so up till now, from 121 to 23, he's basically saying, let me go there, take me in the middle. I want to see who are those people who are supporting this Dura Buddhi. Now, Buddhi, in introductory class 1, I told you the distinction between mind and Buddhi. We hope that the Buddhi is free of the mind and is disturbing tamas and rajas gunas, but when the Buddhi becomes very disturbed, it cannot help us. In fact, it starts misguiding us and justifying our misdeeds. That's called a durbuddhi. And a buddhi that takes us home to God is known as a subuddhi, or just buddhi, enough in day-to-day life. And subuddhi means which is full of sattva. So Duryodhana has durbuddhi, all this. And then in Shloka 24, Sanjay says, so therefore, he says, take my chariot. This is all simple logistics that is happening. Please take my Uttamam, this beautiful, wonderful chariot in the middle, O Rishikesha. Okay. And there is only one casual utterance by Lord Krishna in chapter 1. In all of the other chapters, every time Lord Krishna speaks, it always says Bhagavan Uvacha, means God is speaking. But this time, it's very interesting because it's such a casual word that Krishna says. And he just, so in a way, it's half a statement that Krishna makes. He takes him to the center of the field and he says in Shloka 24, Pashyatan samaveta kurunati. He says, Pashyatan, look, please look at the Kurus. All of the Kurus, the whole clan is standing here. So who is the Kuru? Usually we say Kaurava, Pandava. Pandavas are the good guys. Kauravas or the Kurus are the bad guys. But actually, if you think about it, Arjuna was also part of the general dynasty called the Kuru. So Pandavas and Kauravas were part of the common dynasty called Kuru, right? It's one sampradaya, Kuru, and the evil side is called Kaurava and the nice side is called Pandava. Fair side, dharmic side is Pandava, but all of them were standing there, right? His people, their people, the them and the ours, they were all Kurus. And so he just makes half a statement and he says, Pashyatan samaveta kuruniti. And he calls Arjuna at that time, Lord Krishna says Partha. So Arjuna's mother's name is also Pritha or Kunti, that same thing. And Partha means son of Pritha or son of Kunti. So um, this was one of the ways. Oh, Partha means, oh, it's in a way, you see, it's not like, oh, great soldier. It's more like, oh, son of Kunti, go look at your people all standing around. It's an interesting way because he was relating with them as a family member. So he's called Partha by Lord. And he just says this one half statement, Pashyatana Samaveta Kuruniti. They're all standing there. Now what happens in Shloka 23? Okay. Now raga emerges or attachment emerges. And he says, I shall chant, Tatra Pashyat Stitan Parthaha Pitrin Pita Mahan Acharyan Matulan Bhatrin Putran Potran Sakim Statha Shashuran Suhridascheva Senayorubhayorapi Tan Samiksha Sakanteyaha Sarvan Bandhu Navastetan. So what happened was, what did Arjuna see? So he saw Tatra Pashyat. Tatra means then. Pashyat means he saw. What did he see? He saw people of the age of his fathers, like uncles, fathers, brothers, Pitamahan, grandfathers, even his teacher Drona was of the age of his grandfather, who was also standing there, Bhishma Pitamaha. He saw various acharyas, not just his archery acharya, but Drona, but various acharyas. He saw matulans, he saw maternal uncles standing there. He saw brothers, cousins standing there. His side, our side, their side, but they were all there. He saw sputras, he saw various sons, and he saw grandsons standing there. He saw shashurans because he had more than one wife. So he saw father-in-law standing there. He saw Suhidash, Suhidra, those who were his friends, people he had laughed with, people he had hung out with, maybe taking a position on that side or this side. So he saw his friend standing there, and so he was, and Senayo Rubhayorapi on either side. He saw all these people. So Sarvan Bandhu Avasthitan. He saw all Bandhu. Bandhu means relatives. Relatives. And it comes from the common word bandha, which means with whom we are in a knotted position. We are emotionally attached to them. So he saw all his people, whether they were in the evil side, the opposite side, or his side, they were ultimately his people, Bandhu. He saw all of them. Imagine, you're about to go to war, you've intellectually decided to go to war, but it's different when you go there and you stand there and you have to now, for example, fire someone. Or you have to perform surgery on someone and you walk in, you're a surgeon and you go, all right, bring the anesthesia. And then you see it's your own son or your own daughter or your own mother who came in through an emergency, and you open the face and it's your own relative. Now, how you will feel? So he was a very great warrior. He had won many wars, but he saw what? He saw his people. With each person, he had a relation. He had a memory, an experience, like or dislike, but they were his. Whether it's your Auntie Ethel or, Uncle Bob, but if you had to fire them, or if you had to, call the police on because they were behaving non-dharmically, it's heavy. It's not that easy. If it's strangers, he would have not even questioned. He's like, that's the bad guys. That's the only label you have. But from being the opposing army, he knew that in this war, people on his side, people on the other side, they shall get killed. When he saw, he didn't just see, he imagined in future what can happen. And he said, oh my God, they are all my people. Now something very interesting begins in Shloka 28, okay? So pay attention. And it says, there's a very interesting word. It says, Kripaya Kripaya paraya vishtuha vishidan idama bravi dvishtve mams. Okay, just the first line I will say. Kripaya paraya vishtaha vishidan idama bravi. Kripaya. Kripaya means avishtaha. Avishtaha means overwhelm. And kripaya means suddenly his heart got filled with, oh, what's going to happen to my people? Just compassion, pity. Oh my God, my aging uncle who I should be massaging his feet is going to be tortured, with a sword through him. Whether he's on the other side, I have to kill him or he shall kill me, I don't know. But what will happen to all these people? Will they go back to their mothers and children? Will they go back to their life projects? We are all here. What will happen to them? And often it happens. We all say, I don't care if I die. I just don't want my loved ones to suffer. Has that happened to you? Because the one we are ready, we know that we'll be fine. We just don't want our people to suffer. I can handle anything. I just don't want my mother to go through this pain of stroke or difficulty. I don't want my daughter or child to suffer. God, you should take me, but save my child. This is how it happens. So we get filled with kripaya. Kripaya, another word, is compassion. And he got filled with compassion with them. And uh, Arjuna Uvacha, and then he says this. He says, Vishtuve mam swajanam Krishna yutsum samupastitam. And he says that, oh Krishna, I am noticing swajanam. Swa means self. Swajanam, my people here, Krishna. So he starts speaking now. Why? Because he got overwhelmed with compassion. Now pay attention, dear students. When you have to act, and an ordinary person acts, they act from the situation. These people have been unjust, so I shall go to war. He has not connected yet with any higher principle than that. So we act from our likes and dislikes, from our reactions. We don't act from our convictions. Now, so therefore what happened was, when he pashyatan, he had said, Lord Krishna had said, see, pashya. So see, who saw? Did a soldier see? Did the one who had had injustice see? Did the keeper of dharma see? Did the king who was grieved by the kind of people who were sitting on his throne see? No. The one who saw was the son saw. The son-in-law was seeing. The brother was seeing. The nephew was seeing. See, yatha drishta tatha drishyam. As you see, so becomes your experience. So he was on his chariot. He had his arrow ready to shoot. But what he saw, who saw? Suddenly the soldier was replaced by the son and the nephew and the friend. And he started having those kind of emotions come up. So if I have to correct Soham, and I am his teacher, and so I am his spiritual teacher, and I am the one who tells him that do this, don't do that in your life. This is the right action. This was your ego has come up. This is the way you meditate. Watch out. And suddenly I remember, wait. Soham is very critical for my audio video. So I cannot tell him now. So if my eyes see Soham as a critical person for audio video, can I then be his Acharya? I cannot be. Then I'm going to say, thank you, Soham. You are so great. It's all right if you are committing mistakes. As long as you run the audio video, all is good. And this is what happens in a lot of so-called gurukulams, so-called guru shishya relations, where the teacher does not remember who they are. But if we know who we are and what we are doing and what's the purpose where we are, then we will be able to do the right action. Otherwise, based on what we perceive, what we see, it will instigate different emotions in us. And now all he could experience was a ghastly, unhappy feeling that, oh my God, because of me and my situation, all these people are in a war and probably they will not leave alive. And this is terrible. And from this onwards, from this shloka 27 onwards, we can say that uh, um, from 27 onwards, we see how he starts blabbering, how he forgets who he was. But if he had had conviction, he wouldn't have. Krishna, in a human body, did not say, oh my God, I'm feeling filled with compassion with all the people I see. But he, being an emotional person, got filled with a new reality, and the reality was false compassion. And he says, very famous line, he says in Shloka 29, Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushati veputushchas charire me romoharshchas jayate. So he says that my limbs are Gatrani means limbs, and Siddhanti means they are like drooping. Have you noticed it? Has that ever happened to you that you're so anxious, so overwhelmed, and the first place you experience it before you can even analyze it is in your body? Like, say you had to walk towards a very difficult situation. Say someone was dead, you had to walk to a room, to a chamber, or say you had to go and talk to the principal, who was probably going to tell you that you've not been up to something good and you might be asked to leave your school. And some such situations may have happened. You'll find that your legs and hands have become like heavy. You can't really walk. Your limbs, like they're almost like, oh my God. So he feels that. He says, base first line, Dishtavam Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsam Samavasthitan. I am on noticing my own Swajanam, my own people, Avasthitan. In both armies, I see my own people. Now he doesn't see Duryodhana, the evil people. He doesn't see the people who tried to burn him. What does he see? My own people. My own people I see. Now he doesn't, his clarity is getting muddled. And then what happens? Right away, it affects his body. And he says, my limbs are drooping. Mukham cha parishushati. I feel like a dryness in my mouth. I can't, I can just, all, these are psychosomatic symptoms. Veputushchascha sharire me. I'm feeling this slight trembling, like, instability now. I'm feeling this trembling. And roma harshchascha jayate. Have you felt horripilation when your hair rises? Have you had that? And when suddenly at night somebody gives you a fear, or you feel, oh, the door opened and closed, immediately all these symptoms will come. So he had this mortifying experience of, oh my God. So you see what is happening to our previous Arjuna, who was like, okay, take me there, let me check them out, but see the downfall of our honest person. Then he says, Nimittani cha pashyami vipritani keshava nacha shreyo nupashyami hatva swajanam mahave. Nimit means signs. And he sees, I don't see good signs around me. Like, we talk like that. The scared person becomes superstitious. The scared person, the frightened person, the confused person, the person who does not have inner conviction, clarity, guidance, and whose emotions have taken over. So much so, now he's saying, I don't see good signs. This is the people who run towards, I think the Vastu is not correct, the Feng Shui is not right. I didn't see two jaybirds, I saw one jaybird. So we outsource all our path and what we should do to outer science. So he's telling Krishna, Lord Krishna, he's saying, Nimittani cha pashyami vipritani keshava nacha shreyo nupashyami hatva swajinamahave. So he says, I am seeing some odd signs and I'm not seeing. Shreya means, Shreya has many words, but here Shreya means welfare. I don't see any welfare, honestly, in killing my own people. Again, he uses the word swajanam. I don't see any reason for killing my own people, swajanam. And interestingly, he calls Lord Krishna here because he knows deep down that Arjuna has always known there's something. He's Lord Bhagwan. He said, "You are Keshava." Um, Keshava represents that aspect of God that causes dissolution, and that's your job. You do it. So let Niyati, let destiny take care of punishing Duryodhana. Okay, I don't see any reason. You are Keshava. You can take care of that. I don't see any reason. So he is justifying. Then he says, Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna. I'll go for 5-7 more minutes. Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna. Nacha Rajyam Sukhani cha. Kim no Rajyena Govinda. Kim Bhoge Jivitena va. This is Shloka 32, and this is like my life. This is how students come up to me and say things like that. It is called vairagyam when life is difficult for them. So they come up with similar statements, and if you've done that, you will laugh. What happens to you? How pitiable you become when you are surrounded by your own false attachments and crazy emotions stirred up, and you can't see what's right or wrong. And so instead of saying swajanam, he should say those terrible people, but he's saying swajanam, my people. So he says, I don't want victory, Vijaya. What is the use of victory? And what is the use of getting a Rajyam, a royal? What is the point of getting back my kingdom and experiencing bhoga, its sukhas, its pleasures? I don't want them. In fact, why do I even want those pleasures? Why do we want that kingdom? And then he goes on to say, why do I even want Kim Bhoge Jivitena? Why should I even stay alive? I don't know. Look at this. Please, not to me, if you have gone through this state of extreme nothing matters, I am depressed, no point in life, what is the use of this, why am I even alive? Has that happened to you? So this is what happens. Yes, all of you are raising hands. I will also raise hands. This is the human situation, and a teacher often comes in contact with such a student who this is called Shamshan Vairagya. That is why I never take it seriously when students say, how does it matter whether I have fame or name or not? How does it matter? I just wait it out. I'm like, okay, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then I'll hear them out. They'll be weeping, lamenting, and then we can guide them. So Lord Krishna is a true teacher. He stays quiet. And this is known as not original Vairagyam. This is known as Shamashan Vairagyam. Shamashan means the burning ground, or where you go. So, we all experience the futility of life when we bury or cremate our loved ones. And we've all had to do that. Our mothers, our children, our uncles. It's very painful. We are always having to do that. So for that much time, we experience the futility of life. But the moment afterwards we are eating, drinking, talking, then gradually life moves on, and we actually, not that we forget the pain of that loss, but we come back. We are no longer that place. in the same way, he's experiencing such sorrow, he has gone into depression, as you can see. And he says, Yeshamarthe kangshitam na Yeshamarthe kangshitam naha Rajyam bhoga sukhani cha Taimevas Taimevastita yuddhe Prana satyatva dhanani cha. So he says that in fact, for those very, after all, when we want a kingdom, we want a beautiful bed, we want those pleasures, we want to live, we want to see our grandchildren, we want to share jokes with our maternal uncle, we want to go and tell our Acharya how we are blossoming. So it's for all these people ultimately that we grow, we thrive. He has a point. So he says that, these very people for whom one wants those things, one wants to live, one wants to grow, one wants to age with them, one wants to go into sunset years with some people, those very people are all standing here on either side, risking their life, risking their abundance, risking their wealth right here. So it's like, why should I live? Because this is based on the argument that probably Lord Krishna would have said, no, don't worry. The people these are not all your people. Your real people are, your wife and your mother, and don't, so he's self-reasoning in himself and saying, no, it's all these people for whom I live. And if they are not there, I don't want to enjoy anything. My life has become worthless. That is what he's saying. And then he says, excuse me, I've lost my papers, my shlokas. 1 second. So 133. Yeah. And then he says, and then he starts counting. He starts telling his Lord Krishna, look, who are the people I don't want to kill? And he goes, Acharya Pitara Putraha Tathevacha Pitamahaha Matula Shashura Pautra Syala Sambandhina Stata. My teachers, my Acharya, my fathers, my sons, my grandfathers, people of that age, my uncles. Again, see, he's repeating. What he had seen, he is now recounting. My in-laws, my grandsons, my brother-in-laws, Sala, all my people are here. Just like we say, no, Shunyaji, my auntie, and then my uncle, and then this happened, and she did it, and he did that, and this is why. So the story is, getting really strong in his head. And then he says, Eta nahantum ichhami gnatopi madhusudana api trailoke rajyasya heto kim nu mahikrite. So he says, so therefore, nahantum ichhami, I don't want to kill them. And he says, Madhusudana. Now he's being slightly smart with Lord Krishna. He's calling him Madhusudana. Madhusudana means Madhu was a demon, and Lord Krishna had killed him. So he said, you are the kind of person who kills demons and all. So you take care of these are my relatives. So they are not demons, they are my people. So we get emotional. And he was all confused. And he says, why would I kill them for my one kingdom? Even if you offered me the kingdom of the three worlds, heaven, sky, earth, I would not kill even one of them for this, even for anything. So why would I kill? Nahantu michhami. I will not kill my people. So, and in case he imagined again, and that is what happens to my students. They go on and on and on, thinking because a part of them is logical, so they keep answering their illogical justification. So he thought that maybe Lord Krishna will say, well, okay, don't kill everybody. Can you kill those 100 cousins of yours who have done all this mortification to you? He says, Nihatya dharta rashtrana kapriti syajanardana papameva shayedasman hatvaitanatayana. So, tanatayanaha. So, he says, this is, and I'll stop here because I have to talk to you and take your questions the next 15, 20 minutes. There's a complete confusion of dharma and adharma here. There is a word called atatai, A-T-A-T-A-I, atatai. Atatai is the name given in our Shastra for the same Atma. We agree that everybody has same consciousness, Brahman, but the mind and the ego and the avidya and the rajas and the tamas have become so strong and solid in the person that that person has become like a terrorist, a rapist, a felon, a murderer, okay? You know, and such things, bigot and all of that. And our Shastra, Vedic Shastra is very clear. It says, if you see an atatai and if you don't restrain or kill or arrest that atatai, the sin goes to you. Because if you let that person go out, just like, you know, when the Hindu king forgave Muhammad Ghori, the Turk, sin goes to that Hindu king. And, you know, not only were we enslaved for thousands of years and we lost the whole Vedic heritage in the process. We don't remember what we ate or drank 10 days ago. How can 1,000-year-long slavery be just not causing, you know, loss in the Vedic culture? But after Muhammad Ghori, so many invaders came who mass raped the Vedic women who didn't cover themselves. They destroyed the gurukulams and the temples of learning because it was a liberal land. And, you know, Bakhtiyar Khalji was one of the important general in Muhammad Ghori's army. Bakhtiyar Khalji came 1 year later in 1193 and he destroyed Nalanda University. And Nalanda University was a Buddhist university founded by a Hindu king, top Hindu king, Gupta king, Mauryan Empire, and a Buddhist university which taught the Vedic teachings. Such a huge university, it had 2,000 residential teachers, 10,000 residential students. And he just came and put a match to the library with all the Vedic and Buddhist texts. And it had so many texts that the library alone burned for 9 months. All those lost. So that he was an atatai, Muhammad Ghori, and he should have been removed. So this, you might think, well, I will never encounter terrorists, but how many times we have put up with sexual abusers, emotional abusers, right? And we just cry and say Swajanam, but they are mine. We are not clear. We do, and we protect, we don't do what we need to do. And we don't recognize what action we should take. So it's very interesting that Bhagavad Gita begins at this harsh note. And he's saying, so Shastra is very clear. Arjuna has been to a Gurukul, he has learned, he knows everything. And he is teaching of all people, he is teaching Lord himself. And he's saying, the Lord who is the giver of the Vedic path, he's saying, after all, Lord, what is the point of killing the sons of the blind king Dhritarashtra? What is the point? Okay. What happiness, what kaha priti, what priti will I get? Okay. I shall get Papa meva shraya dasman hatetva tanat tayanaha. I will get only sin, papam. Whereas the Shastra clearly says that when you kill a Hatatai, you get punyam, you get spiritual merit, it is dharma. He's reversing the whole thing. This is what happens. You get completely, dharma, dharma gets confused, and he says to him, he calls him Janardana. Janardana means the one who is the founder of the Veda Dharma, Krishna, Lord, founder, who is the destroyer of beings for their wrong and right action. He is telling Janardana that this shall accrue sin for me. So I shall now stop here. This is verse 37. We shall send you word by word meaning. And you can see now that you can start, you can see this as a story. But for me, Bhagavad Gita, especially this first chapter, has been very interesting because it has shown me how at times I have been like an Arjuna, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Arjuna, the sorry part of Arjuna. And I have seen how and I think as a result, some of the students who work closely with me will agree that I don't confuse my role with them. I remain conviction driven and not driven by what I see or what I get from a student or what I see or what they do. It's like what, and we have to learn to raft our boat through the waters of samsara, not just based on, how emotional we get and how we feel, because then that will color our actions. And then what will happen is, now in this Arjuna's case, his actions are driving his thought. He is using his action, which is non-action. I don't want to take any action because of his emotions. And now he's creating a whole new policy. And he's saying, what's the point? What happiness will I get? And actually later on, we will see, he will say things like, I think I will just go away into the forest. I think I will just retire. I think I'll just become a non-entity. I will just numb myself, my anger, because I am feeling a false love, a false raga towards these very people. And you can wonder, why did Bhagavad Gita start at this note? Where is it taking you? And what am I asking you to do? Well, I'm asking you to become aware that every situation should be examined by us. And we should not just let our emotions, our senses, and trigger emotions within us. And then that should not create our reality. That's what I would say. And this then will leave us in a more sovereign situation, a sovereign position, where he could have said, I feel bad that we have come to this, but ultimately, if people have chosen to take sides, some have chosen to take sides of dharma, and they will have dharma to support them because they have chosen to die for dharma. And those who have chosen to support adharma, as in with Duryodhana and his side, even if they are his relatives, it's very painful for him to see Pramukhtaha Drona, his teacher, and his great-grandfather Bhishma Pitama there. But he can only see them as his teacher and his grandfather. But if you think about it, even Dronacharya, I've talked much about him in a past class, but something was not right about these two people supporting Duryodhana. Bhishma was a very cool guy, the great-grandfather. He was amazing. But he had some confusion around dharma. Somehow he felt like Raj Dharma, I must always support the king no matter what. And we see it today. There are people who say, we must support Trump because he's the president. We're just going to be blind. with the people he has been chosen. It's like we're just not going to take our independent judgment. And they do that, so Bhishma his grandfather had loved Arjuna, had a special place for Arjuna. So Arjuna can only say, oh, my grandfather, but he could not see that, yes, he's my grandfather, but he clearly, at the time of the war, he took a position with Duryodhana. He did. And when his wife was being publicly disrobed by Duryodhana and his brother Dushasana, he did not stop. He did not speak up. And at that time, Draupadi had to remember Lord Krishna, and Krishna, through his supernatural power, protected her, and her sari never came undone. They kept pulling off her sari, and her sari kept growing. So this is a little miraculous piece here, which just means you'll keep getting protected. But the point here is that when we grow up, I'm going to say this, and this might hurt you, we have to grow up beyond our biological family. And we have to begin to look at a human family, and we have to begin to see the real noble blood is the blood of dharma. And wherever there is adharma, we have to begin to take, in your case, it may be something like, I will not gossip. And if you gossip, I will not be part of this. So it may not be a battle with arrows and elephants and horses, but it may be something that you do. But we don't begin our life with battle. We also begin with sama. Is conciliation possible? Dana. Is gifting possible? Bheda. Is separation is possible? Quiet, dignified separation is possible. Otherwise, so first, danda should be carefully given if this becomes your only policy. And even if you see the other person is willing to reconcile, willing to ask for amends, willing to meet you at the table, but you just want to punish, then that also is an emotional behavior. So really what Bhagavad Gita in this chapter is doing, it's a very hard chapter. It's a very painful chapter to swallow. And it creates a fight between human family because we tend to uphold the human family, our biological family, our extended family, our kula, or whatever. But the fact is that they are differences. And we have to choose the path of dharma. And not only do we have to choose it, but it should come from conviction. It should not just come from, I'll go to war. And then when we meet some opposing emotions, we collapse. It is, growing up means taking a stand. And growing up means dying for your stand if it may be. I remember when I had started Vedika, I had decided that come what may, this is going to be, this original, authentic, genuine way will be my way. Whether it is being reflected here or there or not, whether it's going to be my way. And Vedika doesn't mean a building for me. The building can end, the organization can end, but my way shall not end. That's my path. So it's like, whatever you are representing, you need to look at the 4 strategies he had looked through. Now it was time to punish, and the time to punish. So whichever strategy you arrive at, then you stay there and God shall help you. So my dear students, I just will conclude by saying that the first chapter is a bit overwhelming because it's in the war. But I told you about, it's a dramatic, it's a hardest life situation. And even that, we don't want to lose our composure. And Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us how to be strong. So I can tell you one thing. If you've been walking around like a powerful bag of emotions, crying, weeping, and begging to be understood, you will understand yourself better by the time you are even in 4th or 5th chapter. That I can tell you. You don't even need to go all the way till 18. By 4th chapter itself, you'll be feeling much better. But stay inward during this process, and as much revisiting you can do to the shlokas will be very useful for you.